My friend Jen and I suggested that we do Sharpie tattoos for the graduating students at prom. So we set up our little table out front of prom and we were drawing on kids with Sharpies. No idea I was going to be a tattooer at this point. We just thought it was fun, always drawing on ourselves in class. And still, you're never going to be an artist. But my one teacher, Dr. Carlbach, he was like, don't give up drawing. You're so passionate about it. You'll do great. Just keep drawing. And I was like, okay, whatever. Everyone tells me I'm only going to make a name for myself if I do newspaper, comics, or pornography art. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do comic books.
Welcome to the Calgary Sessions. This is episode number 181. I'm your host, Jeff Humphreys. Before I get into it today, if you're digging the show, I'd love for you to subscribe, comment, leave a review, just do something with it. Today's guest, I always like to do a little preamble of how this person showed up. Our good friend Reese did the introduction, had Reese on the show. He was cool enough to introduce Alex to come on the show, and then he said, this person needs to be on, so please name and who you are.
Well, I am Teika Hudson. I live in Calgary, Alberta, and I make things.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Which is cool about today. You and I met face to face 2 days ago at Reese's art show.
Yeah, actually, though.
Which is kind of cool, right? That's why it's always, when you're when you're in the right kind of circle, sphere, energy, and those things happen more often than not.
It flows. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's meant to be, it just happens naturally. I don't think it's forced. I was wondering if you were going to be there. Mm-hmm. I was hoping, because I definitely was, I don't know if it's nerves, anticipation. There was some anticipation for today. So it was good to meet you beforehand. And yeah.
In a cool environment too, right? Just to celebrate Reese and check out all his masterpieces. It's just
he who connected us in the first place. Yeah, it
all makes sense, right? When things, for me, I feel like just everything clicks when those opportunities present themselves.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm excited to introduce you to some people as well. So I feel meant to be kind of stuff, meant to be.
And the cool thing about this show is it's created this cool circle of people, right? You have cool people that come on.
Yes.
They take the time to be here, tell their story, and then usually if they have a good experience, they're like, you need to talk to my friend.
And it was neat seeing who you've had on the show as well. It was hilarious the other day when you had Brent. I love that guy. I have given him so much pain. And, and someone who I've seen build themselves up be on here as well, it made it a lot more, the idea of coming on here myself, more comfortable too. Okay, someone that's more like me, he's doing well, he's comfortable. It's going to be just fine. This is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. We're going to have lots to talk about. Mm-hmm. You resonated with people that I already know, so I'm pretty jazzed about all this.
It's cool. And to know Brent, but random again, right? The 10 days before you show up, this guy pops up on screen, you're like...
It was hilarious. I laughed out loud, and yeah. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a busy fellow, and I think I can't wait to see him next time, and so, yeah.
So cool. You have contacts on the show. You've seen a couple, so you kind of have a loose understanding of where this thing goes. So,
yes, yeah.
So take this thing back. Where you grew up, how you grew up, parents, siblings, job,
gosh.
school. Walk it as far back as you want to go. And
Okay.
We'll kind of drag you to where you are today.
I am originally from BC, born in Nelson. Pretty wild mountain girl, free range kids back then. My mom was busy with my older brother. He's a complex fellow and needed a lot of attention. So I was a pretty good girl, but I was wild, but she never worried and I would just take off. And I think too, growing up in the 80s, there was a lot more freedom for children. So we started out in this little trailer park near Tagamout in Nelson, and very wild spaces. We were right by the lake. We just walked down to the lake. There was a greenhouse behind us, so I was always out digging in the plants, getting snakes, things like that. I didn't have much to worry about just butterflies and weird little animals and climbing trees and such. So my earlier years, I had a lot of freedom to be myself. I didn't really, and Nelson was a pretty open-minded place too. For us, I had my little white mom and she had her mixie kids, and you never really felt that in Nelson. So I don't think, how do you even put this? I don't think I really understood the complexities of the world when we were out there.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we got to Cranbrook where things changed a little bit, and there was a lot more emphasis on religion, culture, race, and things like that. So the first half of my life was my childhood was quite simple. And then going to Cranbrook, everything changed. It was so many social structures that I didn't really understand. Like I didn't understand my differences. So that was a bit hard to adjust to, but I think that gave me the opportunity. I don't want to say outcast, not being outcast, but not necessarily fitting into any particular groups. I really became focused on art and exploration of the wilds and was more of a solitary person. Yeah.
When did you move to Crown? How old were you when you moved?
I think I must have been about 7.
Okay.
Or I'd just turned 6 or 7.
Yep.
Maybe 88. So for my older brother, it was a lot harder because he was already in his teens and kind of had established his character. And for me, I was pretty adaptable. So I guess I didn't have as much trouble as him, especially when I was more focused on making things and art and building stuff like that. But yeah, and you're still pretty malleable at that age as well. I think that lent well to not being as bothered with the big changes that came with the move. But I think if I'd been older, it would have been much more difficult.
For sure.
I hadn't really established a friend group in Nelson either. So yeah.
Nelson is an interesting place.
It is.
It's interesting to hear you talk about your memories, butterflies, snakes, like very like earthy, you mentioned the wild a couple of times.
Yeah.
Are those like clear, vivid memories for you?
Oh, goodness, yes.
Like it was just like daily ritual to go do these things.
And I don't think I did anything else. I sort of remember daycare and stuff like that, but I really just remember being out in the woods, collecting rocks, collecting little bits of nature and communing with the wilds. Like, I don't think I was home ever. There's such a spirit to the earth out there. I don't think you can be anything else but a little bit wild when you live out there. There's a connection to nature that I've never really felt anywhere else. So very, very vivid memories of, smells and creatures and what the water smells like in the summer. Back then, Kootenay Lake actually, the edges of it would actually freeze back then too. So they are almost surreal memories, and you wonder if you're remembering things correctly. But we have photos of us being in nothing but, knickers and that, running around, and some stray cat and a bucket full of slugs. And yeah, it was good times. Everyone's like, what is with you? I'm like, Alex calls me Bog Witch, and that is one of my most endearing nicknames, and it fits. Like, I would have a pocket full of reeds and animals if I could all the time, but I don't think you can get away with that in a tattoo shop. So, I mean, you could. Here's your slugs. Would you like a rose? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
When you were a youngster, like before you moved, did anything have your interest? Was it just being outdoors, being in the environment, or were you starting to create things, or were you like studying?
Always making things, always drawing from such a young age. I spent a lot of time with my Nana and Granddad on my mom's side. She worked a lot, and my granddad, he was a principal and a shop teacher, and so he had this incredible workshop in his basement. And from a very young age, I was using tools and things that I probably should not have been using. I distinctly remember my mom coming downstairs and being, why is she using the bandsaw? And Granddad's like, she's fine, Barbie, she's fine. But it was smart. Like, I think kids aren't given enough credit for what they're capable of anymore. And that's a disservice to children. Like, I was doing things that, 15-year-olds, 20-year-olds can't do now. And so building birdhouses, using tools, anything I could make. I just wanted to make things. The smell of glue, dolls out of weird Lorpy voodoo doll looking things out of wood. And I didn't fit in with my cousins. They were all out playing house or whatever the heck. And I was hiding in the wood shop with the sawdust, making whatever I could. Canning. Granddad used to make apple cider and he had bees. So we'd do a lot of refining of the beeswax and stuff like that. And just the smell of beeswax. And yeah, it was a great time.
Have you like written a book or anything, or like done like a little like...
I don't know if people would believe me if I wrote something. Honestly, I have had a wild life. So it would be neat, but I don't know. There's a lot of brightness and a lot of darkness. So I don't know how well it would be digested.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be an interesting read for people. I say duality, but there's, I think, 3 very strong aspects that shaped me as a person in my life. And it's, some of my life was very proper. Some of my life was there was a lot of cruelty, and part of my life was I don't even know how to say this, bad. Like, I had the Hudson side of the family, part of me, they were wild kids. Like, I spent a lot of time in the States as well. And there was some pretty crazy stuff that went on with them. So sometimes when I get into it, people are like, oh, are you sure about that? I'm like, well, I don't know what else to say. This is why I am the way I am, I guess. So
as you're telling the story, like, you're such a good storyteller about when you were a kid, just about those like pictures. I'm like, I have these like vivid snapshots of you in that life already. So I just like had this idea of, and you're a talented artist. So I was like, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It's like just this like kid's book of this like outdoor, like, anyways, random.
It would be interesting. That's funny when I get into some of my backstory. People are like, you should write a book. You should write a book.
Okay, you've heard
I'm
it before.
like, oh God, I don't know if you'd want to read my book, Sugar. It is, it'll make you cry. It'll make you laugh. You might throw up once or twice. So yeah, it's.
When you got to Cranbrook, like you said, interesting age, 7, 8, friend circle. You didn't really have a firm one in Nelson. So like starting there, what was going on at that age? What kind of, what'd that transition look like?
I think that was when I first discovered race. It was also when I first discovered comic books. So I escaped from reality most of the time into this wonderful illustrated world. So I remember some of the hardships a lot, but I mostly remember just wanting to draw, and just the people who eventually became my friends were also kind of the outcast nerdy group that liked, Power Rangers. Well, I guess Power Rangers wasn't even a thing there. That's more teen years, but the nerdy kids that didn't really fit in, and we just hung out awkwardly together. I don't know if we really even interacted so much as just hung near each other and did our own thing. And Cranbrook too. Cranbrook is a beautiful area. Yeah. So we played a lot outside there. We lived by a creek in Kinsman Park. So a lot of the time was, you'd go to school, you'd do your thing, you'd meet up after school, you'd go play in the river. Yeah. We lived at the south end of the town, which at that time backed onto Gold Creek, which was still quite wild. There hadn't been developed. So you would just leave your house, go walk into the woods and, throw rocks, kick trees. In hindsight, I mean, goodness knows what was living out there. And we're just like a bunch of little tasty morsels walking about. But it was wonderful. It was so wonderful and free. And you bonded by not even trying to bond or doing anything, just existing together. So I guess that's how I developed a friend group out there. The rest of the time I was drawing. I was kind of into sports. I was pretty athletic, but I had asthma and I just was so obsessed with drawing and characters and fantasy, and they wanted me on track teams and things or volleyball or whatever. I just wanted to draw pictures and hang out with my friends in the mud. So
Where'd the drawing thing come from? Like, is there anybody in your family, did anyone introduce you to it, or did you just like pick it up?
no, I don't know. My mom says my Auntie Mimo used to draw, but I don't know where it came from. I just loved it from a small age, drawing animals. I was obsessed with Tarzan and Jane for a while. Like, I loved Jane. She was this like super pretty, super smart, lived in the wilds, had this big, strong freaking guy that swung her through trees. So I drew them all the time. And then when I got into comic books and started trying to emulate what I saw, it was a whole new level. Then I started drawing Wolverine with Tarzan and Jane. And
Awesome.
but, 4 or 5 years old, I remember my Nana saying, oh, she has such steady hands. Or I'd be cutting crafts and things. So it was one of the only places where there was consistently positive reinforcement. So I think that contributed to the obsession that it became was, if I do this, I am not, I don't even think you understand it back then, but I think it must have been, oh, I'm judged well when I do this. I'm appreciated when I do this. So making things and drawing, just, I wanted to be good. I like order, I guess, in a strange way that seems contradictory, but a lot of positive reinforcement, I think, encouraged that, even though I have no idea where it came from. Maybe that's your past lives sneaking in, right?
Yeah.
If you believe in such things, which I do. So perhaps the person I was before was the artist and it just needs to come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were you good? Like, do you still have the sketchbooks from back then or the cartoons you were drawing? I would love to see the Tarzan Wolverine one just for fun.
Gosh.
But were you talented?
That I don't think I have. I think for my age, I was. You could discern what I was trying to express, and everyone seemed to be impressed with the animal drawings and things. So I think I was certainly acceptable.
Yeah.
I was very acceptable at it. So
I grew up with some youngsters like junior high, elementary, junior high that were just like off the charts talented illustrators and they could draw anything. And I was always so jealous. It was such a unique thing to have at a young age. It was just like this.
but you think that's probably all they did, right?
guess.
Like they just wanted to draw.
I
Anything
guess,
you put your focus into is where the energy is going to build, where the talent's going to build. And so many people are like, oh, I can't draw. I'm like, do you try? Do you try to draw? Like, oh, no, I wouldn't. Well, that's why. Like, it's just repetition and passion makes greatness, I think. So
Like, that transfers into anything, like you said, right? Like
exactly.
Like it's all connected. That exact thing,
Yeah.
like repetition, passion, kind of you increase the chance of getting good at it.
Exactly. I'd say consistency as well, but I feel especially with art, there's peaks and valleys to it, right? Sometimes you're on top, everything you're envisioning is coming out on paper or whatever you're trying to create. And there's other days when you have this divine image in your head and you try to put it on paper and you're like, oh, that's toad trash. Like there's no, but then you'll have this period of just garbage. And then all of a sudden it's like your plateau. Then all of a sudden you'll start to rise again. You're like, okay, maybe I needed that garbage to reevaluate my practice, or maybe I'm not putting in enough effort, or maybe I need to change the direction of my subject matter. And you need those lows to almost reinvent yourself so you can progress and find the love for it again, especially when it's your career. Yeah. Especially when it's your career, or else if you don't change it up or feel, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're not, I almost envious, like if you don't see something that motivates you to do better, if you don't have those moments of despair,
Yeah.
how do you find the joy or the drive again? You know what?
I think that the idea of it just being like this perfectly uptick pathway is just so
No,
it
no, no,
doesn't.
no.
And even on the downs, like if you get in anything, right? If you get stalled out, or if you're just like in a rut, or if you're just like questioning things, I think it's just, you know, you double down on it, and then the work ethic, and then it's just like it just.
And so many people give up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you can't see through the glass this way, you either clean it or you go look through a different window. And so many people just decide to leave the building instead. It's perhaps that's what makes the successful versus the unsuccessful, is those who are willing to try and see things from a different angle so that they can proceed, so they can progress.
Yeah.
And then, because there are times when it just sucks so bad.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what you're doing. You don't, I don't know if it counts as imposter syndrome, but I think it's, you lose a belief in yourself. And if you don't try to even step away from it for a bit to regain that love, you can't move forwards. Yeah. And it gets hard sometimes. I think in anything, though, I'm lucky that my passion is sitting in a warm space with like snacks and dogs and stuff. And I think about people who are athletes or high achieving, like a surgeon. Do you lose the passion for that? And then you're like, oh, I connected the wrong tendon or something. So it has to pertain to everybody, I believe.
For sure. So as you kind of junior high school at Cranbrook, art, drawing. Is that like, were you working then, or what was going on?
I did start working pretty early. We were not well off. So in order to have anything, I had to get it for myself. Lots of hand-me-downs and things. But I got involved in volunteering, in theater. I think anything that did help me see the world from different angles I really liked.
Yeah.
I like perspective. So art is one thing, you can zone into it, but then you don't meet new people. I had trouble meeting people and fitting in. So the only way to break through that was to put myself in uncomfortable situations. You know, you feel down about yourself and then you volunteer at the hospital for a summer and you're feeling pretty good about your life after that, right? You feel down about yourself and then you go and do a bunch of theater. Well, you meet all these new people who are just as awkward and strange as you. So art was a huge part of my life. I did a lot of, in Cranbrook, there wasn't a lot of artists. It wasn't something that was celebrated. So I had a lot of opportunity for poster work or mural, not necessarily murals, but I painted a lot of kids' rooms and stuff in my teen years. And I think that it helped with the creativity, but it was pretty exhausting at the same time because I had to be such an adult at home. And then you have to go out and all of a sudden you have to be a teenager in these groups. And it wasn't super art focused. I tried sports, but I just wanted to draw. So yeah, mainly art focused. I started volunteering partially because I wanted to do the Rotary Exchange. I knew I had tried and applied for that and was rejected at first. And then I started looking at what the people who were accepted were doing, and it was like volunteering, you know, good grades, prestigious attitude, all that sort of stuff. So I moved a little bit more away from art into working on community things and stuff like that, just so I could achieve this goal that I wanted. I was obsessed with Japan.
That's what it was?
And that's what it was, yeah. So I knew I had to get there somehow. We didn't have money, and this was the only way it was going to happen for me. So
why the obsession with it?
I have no idea.
Like,
no idea.
You don't know what the trigger was? It could have been a magazine or a...
I mean, my granddad had this teapot. I guess he had been over there in the Air Force, and he had this teapot he brought back for my Nana. Loved it. Yeah.
Just the style of it, just the...
Yeah. And my mom, when she had been pregnant with me, her best friend was a Japanese man, I guess, and he had passed away shortly before I was born. So that's how I got the name Teika. And one of my friends joked, "Oh, you have his soul." And I was like, "Oh, well, maybe I do," because I do feel like a little old Japanese guy sometimes. And I just was, it was beautiful. And the way they portrayed it, especially before the internet was a thing, you only had these books and these images, or you'd see a Japanese painting. And it was so mysterious and so, I liked the culture. I liked that it was proper, that there was honor, that everything you did was a purpose. It wasn't, oh, you're drawing, you are practicing the art of drawing, oh, you're making tea. No, you're not making tea. You are practicing the art of making tea. So yeah, it seemed like a place where I would fit in. I liked the poetry. And there was, I had gotten into martial arts. When I was 9, I started judo. And so then it came into my life a lot more. The hierarchy of it, I guess, the structure. And I think that definitely contributed, pardon me, to my desire to go. When I got out of judo, I was in karate, and that was, very strict with the process, and that definitely motivated me to want to go as well. I wanted to see this place where everything that I loved, that made sense to me, their way of living seemed to make sense to me. Obviously, I had no idea what it was actually like, but yeah, I just obsessed.
From anywhere to there in the 80s, or like way back then before the internet, was a stretch. But from like Cranbrook to there,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I don't know if there's many people in Cranbrook dreaming about...
Probably not. They had the community college though, right? And so we would, a select group of us would go up, and there was lots of Korean students there, lots of Japanese students there. And so we would trade speaking Japanese and Korean with them to help them with their English. So I think that definitely helped a lot. It certainly pushed. There was this dream that I had, and then all of a sudden there were these people that were actually from there, so it was tangible, and they encouraged me. And yeah, I always thought I would end up there forever, but the last time I was there, it was right after I'd turned 20, before I moved here, and I was so certain I was going to move back and just have Japanese babies and be this supreme martial artist or whatever. And obviously that's not what happened, but that's who I thought I was going to be. And I think it was a pretty good dream. It would be interesting to see the next reality over what I became, if that was the case. I don't know how well I would have done as a little Japanese housewife, but you never know, right? Maybe it would have been amazing. I don't know. I was bigger than most of the dudes when I was over there. So, yeah, oh, big girl. I was like, oh, yeah. Yes, I am a big girl. Curly hair. Yes, yes. People touching my hair all the time. Amazing. Good times. It was good times.
When you, when like there's like the at-home life, like getting a job early, taking care of yourself, like kind of growing up early,
yeah.
It sounds like, to then chasing this dream to go there. Did you actually, like when you kind of double down on that chase, whether it's getting good grades, doing all those checks, how'd that go? Did it all, was it just like doubling down and working at it and getting it, or how did it?
Yeah, it felt right. So it wasn't challenging. I've never much been into drinking or partying or anything like that. That was never appealing to me. The other side of our family had such a darkness regarding those things that I found it somewhat appalling, and I never wanted to be there anyways. So it almost seemed natural to be this person. And I guess it was after my granddad passed away, I didn't have anything to put that sorrow into, I suppose. And that became the healing journey was, well, I will honor him by achieving my goals and being this good person. And he liked Japan too, obviously. So it wasn't super difficult. It just felt more natural than anything that was the path I was supposed to take. I was never very good at math, but everything else, it was easy for me to be a good student. I liked being at the front. I liked learning. I was curious. And I could see the future that it would bring me. I could see that doing ABC is going to give me the life I wanted. And knowing at that point that the only person that was going to give me the life I wanted was myself, it was just another Tuesday, right? Like you go to school, and being a good student was a good way to escape kind of the harshness of the 80s and 90s on the schoolyard playground, I guess you could see. Not having teachers back you up, but, oh, you don't go to parties. Well, I'm just too busy with schoolwork. Or you don't have to fit into a social circle if you're working hard. You just get to work hard and achieve your dreams. And that, for years and years, I just drawing, schoolwork, martial arts, sleep. Drawing, schoolwork, martial arts, sleep. Outdoors, actually, that's a lie. We did lots of outdoors stuff too, but I think that was probably one of, strangely, the easiest times in my life because there was purpose, there was direction, there was goals. If I have goals, everything else is just salt, right? You just work towards that goal and nothing matters. Interesting how emotional it can make you talking about this stuff. Catching in my throat, my voice, part of me.
It's there's so much structure to it. You like the art of drawing, being a high functioning student.
I like structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just fits.
It fits. Yeah. I don't like feeling all over the place. I mean, I like it when my forks and knives and spoons are in the perfect little slots in the dishwasher. Like that's the kind of weirdo I am. Structure is good for me. If I don't have structure or deadlines, I don't think I really know where I'm supposed to go or who I am even. It's not a bad place to be. I don't understand people who fight against structure, I guess. Different souls, different characters. But for me, I'm like, why wouldn't you want to do this? Why wouldn't you want to work towards your dreams? You don't have dreams? What do you mean you don't want to volunteer? You don't want to draw for 10 hours a day, but don't you feel accomplished afterwards? So it just was normal and almost comforting to have that structure and the goals. So I also seeing my brother in his wildness and the consequence that brought, I didn't want anything to do with that.
So you could see what the other side looked like if you didn't stick to this.
And I did not like it. I saw it eat half of my family. I saw it destroy my brother's life. I didn't want anything to do with it. I wanted to live well. I wanted to live beautifully, I guess. I wanted to be in a space that reminded me of the lakes and the gardens when I grew up in my whole life, even in a city, And that's, you can't have that if you're all over the place and not living well and not treating people well. So, and I don't think everything that came with not being structured seemed to hurt other people and myself. And I've never been one for watching anyone or anything suffer. I don't much like that. Yeah. So I think that was a large part of it too.
It's interesting as a creative person, then putting structure beside it. Sometimes creatives they get tagged with like that they don't connect those dots, right? Creativity is like, it's so whimsical and you can kind of do what you want, you know what I mean? But then when you put structure beside it, it's That's a different combination.
It's a different kind of structure though, right? Like if you look in my art drawers, it's chaos. You know, I know where everything is in the drawers. It's structured that way. But if you go inside, like, where do you find anything? I'm like, it's all right here. I know exactly where it is because I know which drawer it's in. So I think creativity in itself is a different kind of structure, maybe. It's just chaotic structure.
Yeah. But it also, it sounds, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like it gives you like a purpose.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, when you want something and you put structure beside it, and the creativity is the skill set that gets you there, it's an interesting path.
A good analogy, like there's a puzzle. You want to see the picture on the puzzle. You can't get it without organizing the pieces. It's still creative and beautiful and all over the place, but if you're not putting the puzzle pieces in the right place, you're never going to get the puzzle together. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
You're just putting the puzzle together.
When you graduate high school, do you have a firm idea of what's happening, where you're going? Do you have a vision for yourself? Are you in a good spot, or like it's an interesting time, and the reason I always go to high school is 'cause it's an interesting time. You know, some people are like crushing it. Some people are like, who am I? Some people are like in a dark place. But like, what's happening with you around graduating?
I think I had an idea. I knew I wanted to own property. I knew I wanted to make art. I'd thought I wanted to be in Japan, but I think that was just wanting to find where I found belonging. And my time there, I had felt, even though I was this awkward foreigner, I felt like I fit.
When were you there?
96, 97, so 16, 17, I think
So
was
in
the
high
first
school?
time. Yeah,
Okay,
so I got...
So go back to there. Go back to there of like when, so the Rotary thing actually came to be.
Came to pass.
Okay.
So I did not make the interviews the first go around, worked my buns off for the next year, applied for the next round, and they were all quite surprised I was there. They're like, oh, hello again. I was like, I'm getting it this time. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting this. And I did. And so they ship us off. It was incredible. I had never... Cranbrook had made me feel small in a way. And when I got to Japan, I was like, Cranbrook is small. I'm not small. Cranbrook is small. And I could truly be myself. So the growth that I experienced there changed everything. I was like, I want a good life. I want to be successful in art, which was almost laughable in the 90s. I had gotten into unhealthy habits, obviously. When in high school, you deal with things. I had started martial arts, so I was just starting to lose weight and stuff and really appreciate the vessel that we're given, and got to Japan, and I was really able to build on that because they had a really mindful way of caring for your body, in a sense. Really found my own strength. Knew, I think, that I wanted to, I don't even know how to explain it. Build a life where I could support other people's happiness as well as my own, if that makes sense. And just embrace being different, because I was so different there, but it wasn't chastised in any way. It was celebrated, and they thought it was weird and great. And I was like, well, if I can be this here, I can be weird and great back there too. So, and the people I met, some of my closest friends while I was over there, we're still friends now. One of my best friends, he lives in Los Angeles, but those kind of people you meet up with, and it's like you're 16 again on the trains. So Japan helped me decide that I wasn't going to let external forces dictate who I was going to be, how I felt inside. When I came back, I was a year behind, obviously. So I graduated without anybody that I had gone to school with the entire time, which I think was actually a blessing. I had grown in such a different way than those people when I was there that I don't know if falling out was the word, but those friendships didn't exist as they did when I left, when I got back. So it almost gave me a clean slate to really be who I wanted to be. I was heavily into martial arts by then, heavily into, I did a lot of fighting, a lot of tournaments. So I focused on that and thought I would just be this fighting sensation in Japan or something. But I kind of liked getting to choose my destiny when I got back. So I just muscled through my last year of high school. At this point, my Nana and Granddad, my Nana passed away while I was away, my Granddad years before, but they had left us a little bit of money. And so my mom and I went in and got a condo together in Calgary because she was back and forth for work at the time. And I loved interior design and things like that. I was always painting my room and things like that. And I don't know, it opened the door for being myself. And then I knew I'd probably go to Calgary because the condo was already here, and started sort of working towards that, I guess. But I still didn't know what I was going to do for a career. We were always asked in the art group, because there was visual arts and then the art club, we'd go there at lunch and draw and paint, to do posters for the school or whatever. And for graduation, they would always have us, I say always, they wouldn't have us do anything. My friend Jen and I suggested that we do Sharpie tattoos for the graduating students at prom and stuff like that. So we set up our little table out front of prom and we were drawing on kids with Sharpies. No idea I was going to be a tattooer at this point. We just thought it was fun, always drawing on ourselves in class. So we got to go, I started high school in grade 10. And so 10 and 11, we did the drawing tattoos. Grade 12, I was away. When I came back, I did the drawing tattoos again, even though Jen had graduated. And still, you're never going to be an artist. But my one teacher, Dr. Carlbach, he was like, don't give up drawing. Don't give up drawing. You're so passionate about it. You'll do great. Just keep drawing. And I was like, okay, whatever. You don't know anything. I don't know anything. Yeah. Everyone tells me I'm only going to make a name for myself if I do, newspaper, comics, or pornography art. And I was like, oh, neither of those appeal to me. So comic books, I'm going to do comic books. And yeah, I feel like I've veered off topic.
No, you're good. You're right
so
on.
Far.
You're right on line. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Were you in your head a lot? And were you able to process things in your head? Like when you talk about Japan and what you learned and what you experienced, were you actually very mindful of thinking these things through? As a youngster, it seems kind of interesting because when I think about myself being a youngster, you're just in the moment doing these things. It's tough to process. Yeah.
Always in my head. I think I've been an 80-year-old woman since I was 6, always thinking about the future. When I say I always wanted property, I always wanted property. Though I dreamed of castles in Scotland and stuff like that, it was... My granddad was like, you buy property, you pay yourself first. There's always money. There's never enough land. So it's property. Property, have a good career, be a good person. Do this, do that. And I think because I assumed such a responsible role at a young age, was it that young? Yeah, I guess 13 is pretty young to be, working and helping in the house, but I never gave it a second thought. It was always just, what's going to make life better?
Yeah.
What's going to make life better? No one else around me seemed to be working towards that. So someone's got to do it. My mom once told me, you're always the person who just does what needs to be done. I'm like, great. That's okay. Sweet. So what needs to be done? Let's go do it so I can get on to the next task. Tasks above feelings. You don't feel stuff if you've got tasks.
Yeah.
So
get a condo in Calgary.
Not
quite sure what you're up to, what you're going to do with yourself.
Not a clue.
Is that an uncomfortable time for you?
I don't know if I was even...
It didn't bug you.
Thinking about it, right? it was just, again, what needs to be done, you know. For a moment there, it was Japan, come back. I went back to watch the men's world tournament, came back, went back to Japan again.
You were like,
Yeah, oh, I was obsessed. Went back to Japan, fought, got my ass kicked, humbled me.
you thought you were.
I thought I was
And
hot.
were you some hot thing in?
I was in Canada.
Yeah.
Not there. No, I got beaten up by a Norwegian chick that didn't do anything except live, breathe, eat, sleep, poop, kyokushin. You know, that was. So I came home on the plane from Japan with my tail between my legs and a broken rib. And
Beat.
yeah, I got beat, man. And it was just like, I think she got like 3 hits on me and dropped me. And
Uncomfortable.
humiliating is the word.
It's a long way to go to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, it was. And I had fought over there before in smaller tournaments, and but not some giant Norwegian chick. And I'm not a huge girl in stature, but I got them heavy bones. So I was always fighting in open and heavyweight, and oh goodness. Yeah. So very humbling experience. Came home, was kind of, I don't think sour, but I was like, maybe I'm gonna just hang out in Canada for a little while. I don't want to go back there just yet. So I ended up, I never really had a boyfriend, right? Like I was rather masculine at that point. Like I was 170 pounds of fighting weight. I had a shaved head. I wore Superman shirts all the time.
You're a force.
I was, yeah, I could take care of myself for sure, which was necessary at times. And so I had met this one gentleman who was like, I'm going to move back to Calgary, blah, blah, blah. And we dated for a little while. I was like, whoa, well, I happen to have a condo in Calgary. Let's go. So I move out here with him. My brother at the time is living in the condo. And my mom's like, oh, he needs the condo more. So I was like, oh my God, but he didn't even contribute to it with his inheritance. She's like, whatever, he needs it. And so I move into this little apartment down on 11th with this guy that I actually barely knew. Turns out he was like into gambling and some other weird stuff. And I was just like, oh God. So that was an adventure. And then finally, I was trying to get back into Kyokushin. Then I got hit by a car while I was riding my bicycle. And it messed up my hand. Crazy head injury. It changed my life because I can't make a proper fist with my hand, so I couldn't do, full contact bare knuckle fighting anymore. I had to learn how to draw again because it was my right hand that got so messed up. So that was, I don't know if it was a dark time, but it was definitely a time of reevaluation.
Yep.
Like, maybe I won't be able to have an art career. I'm certainly not going to have a fighting career. I'd had a broken tibia and, had hurt one of my shoulders too in the accident. So I just started looking for jobs that, what could I do? What could I do? At the time I was working retail and I was a bike courier, which is, and I actually didn't get hit while I was working. I was riding home from my husband's place, actually. I'd broken up with this guy. I still had to live in this apartment with this guy that I was broken up with. I was seeing Rocky. So I was riding home from his place at night, got smoked by a car, didn't show up for work the next day. This was just after I'd gotten a job with Burstall Winger. So I'd been a bike courier. I was doing their time call, and one of the lawyers was like, you want a real job? I was like, sure, I'll do that. And so they're like, okay, get cleaned up, come in for an interview. And I'd been doing their time call for a while, and I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty hard worker. And so I come into this interview and there's the managing partners and they're all sitting there, and I dress nicely. I'd found some pretty swanky digs from the thrift store. And I come in and they look at me, they're like, yeah, sweet. Okay. Well, we'll show you around. It's like, was that the interview? They're like, We just needed to see if you cleaned up nicely. So, so I was like, okay. And so I did some reception work, and they ended up moving me into accounting and stuff like that. So I did admin and learned a lot there. Ended up going into oil and gas after that shortly. But after I started at the law firm, that was when I was so new there. And then I got hit by this car, which was somewhat fortuitous because then one of the managing partners we're going to get this guy, no legal fees. And so that worked out well. I used the settlement for that to help buy my own house because I knew the condo. I just couldn't rely on that with my mom and my brother. So worked at the law firm for a while, ended up getting pregnant with my daughter shortly after my husband and I started seeing each other. And then got into oil and gas, started tattooing evenings and weekends. Well, actually, oh gosh, this is crazy.
How old are you when you're at the law firm, get smoked in the bike?
This is 22, so 23. Young. Yeah, I've done multiple jobs at a time. I was pretty young, but I'd already been working for 10 years at this time. So...
did you have question anything, or was it just job, work, courier? This guy, hey, you want to work here? Yeah, sure.
It was just so organic. Yeah. I say there's omens, but when something feels right, and there's always a sign from the universe, I'm just take it and do it, because opportunity knocks once, right? So working retail, courier into law firm, quit retail. Well, I'm at the law firm, get into the accident. When I'm healing from the accident, my brother leaves the condo. I move into the condo. Finally move out from the guy that I'd broken up with. Start. Well, I don't even know if we were actually seeing each other properly. We're just kind of hanging out, having some fun. End up getting pregnant. Living at the condo, do maternity leave at the law firm. When I'm on maternity leave, just before I go on maternity leave, Rocky's getting tattooed by a buddy of ours. And our buddy is like, you like art? You like to draw? You want to try? I was like, yeah, it can't be that hard. So hard.
Is this the first...
This is the first time I ever thought I could be. I've always loved tattoos. Never thought it was a viable career. Okay. Even doing the drawings at high school, you can't be a tattooer. That's bikers and ladies of the night, so to speak, back then, right? So. Had
you been around it? Had you been in a shop before? Did you
have
a
tattoo? I had a couple
tattoos
at this point.
So it wasn't just wild.
Woo, no.
Okay.
I had the Kyokushin logo tattooed on the back of my neck because obsessed. And I had a little dragonfly on my on my arm with my name in Japanese on it. And so Jimmy asked me if I want to try. I tattoo my husband, and it's this janky. It was supposed to be a bubble, and it was this horrible, and I think I pressed too hard and it blew out, and it was a triangle, and Jimmy's like, I can fix it. It'll be fine. And meanwhile, Rocky's like, oh my God. But the minute I held that machine, I was like, this is it.
No way.
This is it. So I started my apprenticeship when I just found out I was pregnant. So I wasn't on maternity leave yet, so I was going to work at the office. I was at Burstall at this point, and then after Burstall, I would go to the shop and watch tattoos, draw a little bit, and then go home, go to work, go home. And then I kind of wrapped up my apprenticeship probably maybe a week or two before my due date. And so had my daughter, and then a month after she was born, I tattooed my first paying client. And so I would work evenings and weekends when I was on maternity leave with a new baby. And back then, tattooing was not easy. You were hand pressing stencils, you were mixing your own inks, you were soldering your own needles, it was wild. And so I'd be in the kitchen. In hindsight, probably not the best thing. Soldering needles with my daughter in the baby chair, rocking the baby chair on the ground, soldering needles, doing drawings. Did that until I went back to work at Burstall for a little while. And then my days were get up, get the daughter to daycare, go to work. After work, it would depend on whether Rocky was getting the kid or I was getting the kid. I would go over to, I was friends with Doug at Bushido, so he would let me shadow him because I didn't really learn too much at the shop I was at. So he stopped at 6, so I would get off at 4, go to Bushido, shadow him until he stopped at 6, go over to Impact, work until 9 or so, 9 or 10 at night. Whenever I could tattoo, go home, do it all again the next day. Yeah, and then the days I had to pick her up, we had one car at the time, and parking was, it's always outrageous here. So I'd be taking the bus with her in the morning, dropping her off at daycare, and then the days I pick her up and take her home on the bus. But I don't know how it happened. It was crazy. I'm tired thinking about it now, but if you want something, you will work for it. And you hear so many people it's too hard, it's too hard. I'm like, oh, honey, let me tell you what, it's not too hard. You don't want it hard enough. That's the problem. So finally, I stopped. I had gotten my friend worked with Talisman, one of my dear friends. She and I were actually pregnant together. And she's like, look, they're going to pay you more. You'll have to work less, which wasn't true because I had to start earlier now. And so I worked with Talisman Energy for a bit. Same thing, tattooing evenings and weekends. And I just got to the point where I was laying back in my chair daydreaming about tattooing. And finally I had to choose, and it was terrifying. And so many people had so much to say about it. Oh, you're going to tattoo, you've got a baby, you're a horrible parent. What kind of life are you building for your child? I built a great life, honestly. It gave me time to be with her. It gave me time to be myself. She grew up in a tattoo shop. So it just works out. Like I can't imagine if I hadn't taken those chances and worked for them. Yeah. Would I still be in oil and gas? What would I even be doing?
What was the final push to make you go like all in? Was it money, or was it like just lifestyle, or was it?
I just wanted it. I've never been one not to do what I want. If I want something, I will do it. We all care what people think of us to some extent, but I don't. If there's something I'm passionate about and I think it's right and I think it's going to provide for my future, then do it. Who cares what people think? As soon as my daughter graduated, I tattooed my face. I was like, woo, finally. I think it was time. It was time to decide who I wanted to be. Did I want to be this office person who was a number, who was dealing with people who look down on you all the time? Or did I want to create? Did I want to bring other people confidence and joy and meet people I never would have met otherwise? And it might have been different if I'd stayed at Burstall. They were a great company to work with. Like, they treated me really well. And I do regret in some ways, because it was quick. When I decide something, it happens. I'll take forever to decide, but once it's just, and no warning either. Like, it's all going on in here. And they're like, this is out of nowhere. I'm like, well, actually, it's not. I've been thinking about it for some time, but yeah, once you decide it felt right.
Yeah.
It felt right. I don't even know how to explain it otherwise. When I thought about it, it felt right. There was no anxiety working for it, even though it was hard. It had never been that hard. It just was. It was just what needed to be done. And gosh, I can't think of where I'd be without it. I have had some of the most beautiful experiences in the tattoo community, most fun, met the neatest people. Things I couldn't even conceive of, I think, if I'd stayed in the corporate world, which is my advice to anyone, if it's scary, do it. Like, you got to move into fear. If you're afraid to do it, that is the time when you need to do it the hardest, when you need to do it the hardest, I guess. Yeah. And it was the right decision.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, like hearing the story for the first time, obviously.
Yeah.
And you know, as I toured you around this space, your connection to different things and like the energy and what got you going was really cool to see. But then as you're telling the story, you're like, you know, you're working in offices and I'm like, holy shit. There's no way I would have put those
things together.
Yeah. Because as you know, I know you as this person, talented, creative.
Yeah.
And it's so to make that jump.
Everyone's always like, I'm sorry, you did accounting. Mm-hmm. You did what?
But
it helps.
But now running your business?
Yeah.
It's exactly what you need.
Exactly. Like the universe put that there.
Exactly.
For this here. Yeah. You know, everything I did in oil and gas was there, helped me here, you know. I don't know.
It's unconventional.
These threads that connect that you have no concept of until you're 20 years later, right? I just had my 21st anniversary in tattooing, and it's like, wow, to see the industry change and still here, still with clients. I guess everyone has a different idea of success, but I feel like, is this kind of being successful in it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here we are now. And
so you're like 21 years into it. When you get into it, you have a family to support. There's a bunch of like,
yeah, that's an adventure.
Yeah, like you're still young, you got a family, starting this new career, which is, it's a thing, but it's not a talked about thing, right?
No,
it's a very kind of like not underground, but just like unconventional path.
Unconventional is a good word for it. I got a lot of pushback from people. Not even pushback, I guess. Commentary. Like, everyone likes to tell you what they think your life should be or what kind of person you are because of perhaps the things you do. So that was, I think, the hardest part was the trying to fit in to motherhood in the certain circles that you have to run in with a child. Being who I was. I started getting tattooed quickly because I loved it. And now I had permission to. Nothing was going to stop me. As soon as I got out of the office, I tattooed my hands. I was like, well, there's no going back now. It was interesting hearing the preconceived notions of what tattooing supposedly was. No one really looked at the art of it back then. No one really looked to the connection that it brings to people. For me, being a tattooer, I know some of my friends are just like, some of my friends, acquaintances, other people in the industry, it's my art. I'm just here for the art. I am here for the healing and the connection and I'm not a super social person otherwise. So this is where I get my socializing. The joy that tattooing can bring, you know, the mitigation of pain, which seems so contradictory, but there is something about it that just is so innately human. You know, it's older than recorded history. You meet people I never would have connected with otherwise. People I have to check myself. You know, I have my own prejudices, I guess. Everybody does. When you look at someone, you judge them. I think that's a very natural thing. It's helped me move past that. There's people that I've connected with that I never thought I could possibly be friends with if I'd seen them on the street. And so at a certain point, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, where are my ideas coming from? Who am I? Who am I to judge this? Who am I to think something is better than something? And it's stories and it's laughter and it's sorrow and the reasons people get tattooed are innumerable. And I love all of it. I've made I've made myself a better person through other people and through this art. And it's changed so much over the years. I really like that society can see that it's more than just bikers. And Americana tattooing did bring the sailor notion, the wildness, the bikers. But before that, it was tribalism. It was honorific. They were getting tattooed to mark certain points in their life of manhood, of womanhood, of success, of failure. You think in Japanese tattooing, it shows even, and I don't know all this, so please forgive me if I speak incorrectly to anyone out there that knows specifically, but I think it shows where you stand and where you rank among certain social groups. And there's so much to it that until you get tattooed and experience that yourself, you're never going to understand the depths of the process and the experience, I guess. And that is precious to be part of something like that. I couldn't find that in oil and gas. Oh, I'll take your money and destroy the world. But there are few things in this world where you help people love themselves more, where you help people become better, where you help people heal. I think that is a gift. Like, as cheesy as that may sound, it's like when you help someone through probably one of the hardest things they'll ever do physically, there's a crazy connection that can happen if you want it to happen. I feel a sadness for the artists that tattoo at surface level and don't try to get to know their clients, especially I think the clients that perhaps don't resonate immediately with your character. I think those are the people you need to try and be more patient with and understand more, because ultimately it's going to make them better. It's going to make you better. It's going to make the world better. It's tolerance. I don't know if tolerance is the right word, but profound. It brings a profound tolerance and a knowing that you could never have of other humans. And how could you regret that in any way? Even if I'm not making oil and gas money. Everyone's like, oh, tattooers charge so much. No, it is so expensive to tattoo that we have to charge a lot so that we can eat, so that we can afford our bills and stay up till 3 drawing. And yeah, it's expensive to tattoo, but I think it would cost me more not to be tattooing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. How do you manage your, like, the end of the day, end of the week? Because the energy exchange.
Oh.
When you're like, when you actually want to connect with your client.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm sure some stories, and it's all different. Like some days I'm sure they're big emotions and other days it's a day at work. But like the days that are
hard.
Yeah.
And
like,
deep.
Yeah. Like, do you have a reset, or how do you, when you lock the door at the end of the day, how do you kind of like check and balance it?
I have dogs, walk my dogs, and I like video games. I'm not going to lie. You can connect with people without even having to see anybody. I don't talk a lot when I get home, which I feel bad for my hubby. You're so quiet. Are you upset? I'm like, oh, no, some lady just told me about all her miscarriages today. So I'm just going to go play Elder Scrolls, right? And art. I like to sew. I make things. Even in the games that I like to play, they're not like shoot 'ems or fighters. I build houses. So
You're a builder.
I build houses. Yeah. The properties I can never afford in reality, I build. But you make things. You direct that energy into creation elsewhere. And I think for the most part, I'm a pretty solitary person outside of tattooing. I definitely get my social quota in my job. So that allows me a lot of space to, when we do get out into the woods and things, I can sit for hours and not say a word and just stare at the butterflies, stare at the snow, stare at stare at whatever, just sit with the dogs and not talk, not do anything. Sit in my house. I'm happy in my house with my pets and my pencils. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of making stuff. I'm always making something. So
When you say 21 years, are you surprised? Are you, or like when you made your decision to do it, you knew this was going to be the thing and now you're just on the path.
yeah, I'm on the path. Like it was a lifestyle. I knew that it wasn't going to be just a job. I think I already understood that when I made that transition, it was going to be for life, one way or another. Even if I did other things additionally on the side, you don't tattoo for a living, you tattoo for life. And there's the ebb and flow of it, right? Like sometimes it's gravy, sometimes you're grinding. And once you're committed to it, I don't think you can do anything else. I know some people that have left the industry, but then I wonder, were you so consumed by it then? There's people who are truly, it is all consuming and there's nothing else. There's nothing else. You just go with the river, man. You hope you got no holes in your boat. And if you do, you're patching it with chewing gum, but you can't get off. You can't get off the boat.
It's like that obsession you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same energy and direction and purpose.
Yeah. Maybe I just have an obsessive character. That's probably, when I fall for things, I fall pretty hard. So no matter what it is, once I decide it's going to be, I have to make it be, which is very difficult when something is not reciprocated. I've found that those are hard times, but even then you still just got to keep riding the river. I think even if there's a waterfall, you're going over the edge, you're going to have to swim.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, that's just the way it is.
How old's your daughter now?
She is 21.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a month older than my tattoo career.
Crazy.
My paying tattoo career, I should say. Yeah.
To balance all that, I don't have kids. I have nieces and nephews, but to balance all that, to be building your career at the same time, like raising a child, like all the things mixed together, just work, and that's just what you do.
You just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really have a choice. I was lucky that, especially when I was at Bushido, if there were days when there was no school or I had to pick her up, she'd just come and sit in the back. She grew up in shops. We brought her in there shortly after she was born. I was still at Impact. And as soon as it was coil machines back then, so it was loud. There was a sound to it. As soon as the machine started running, when we brought her in the shop, her eyes opened and she knew the sound already. She was around it in her belly, in my belly. So she was just part of my career and my life. And her and I grew up together. Maybe it's not as young as some people, but I think having a baby at 23 was pretty young. I didn't have 20s. That being said, I kind of liked being like, oh, sorry, I can't go out. I got a baby on. Oh, yeah. So we grew up together, and I don't think it was hard for me to balance because I'd been balancing life for so long. And I feel like I'd already been an adult for so long. It was just another part of living. She was just there. She was everything. When we were trying to find her name, we named her after a song that was making plans for Nigel, right? Just making plans for Nigel. And that's, it didn't feel hard to balance because she wasn't anything separate from myself. She was going to be part of my life, whatever it was. And luckily, tattooing allowed me to live that reality. She drew with me, she sat with me, she came everywhere with me, come to events. We took her everywhere. She just is. She moved out a little while ago. She's kind of back and forth now, but oh gosh, that was hard. Yeah. And my hubby was like, we're living, because we'd never lived alone together until she moved out. We moved in together shortly before she was born. So I think it was harder for me. I was like, oh, my Quato is gone, you know. It's been more of an adjustment not having her to fuss about, I suppose, than anything. So, yeah, just... And she was not planned, but she was meant to be. Yeah.
It's funny you said that. It's not funny. It's interesting you say it's just young-ish, 23 youngish, but you'd lived a kind of grown-up life for a long time.
Long time.
So you'd like, by the time you're 23, you'd experienced things and done things and had a bunch of stress in your life that usually doesn't show up till later in your life. So
yeah,
it's just like...
It just was. It just was. And my hubby was older than me, so I think it was better that way too.
Yeah.
He'd had lived some life as well. And we were just, I mean, he was more excited than I was. I remember telling him, and I was like, don't tell anybody. I don't know how I feel about it. I went downstairs and all our courier buddies were sitting outside. They're all like, congratulations. I was like, I hate you. I told you not to tell anybody. And he's like, I'm so happy. So.
Was the career life back when the castle existed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I worked in nightclubs and bars for like late 90s through the 2000s.
Interesting.
So the castle, like I spent a lot of time at the night gallery.
Oh, so you knew all us dirtbags, did you?
Yeah, the Cherry and the Drum.
Oh my
and like
gosh.
I worked at the Mercury and the Embassy, and like so I was all over.
Yeah.
So that the castle was this thing that all you couriers hung out at all the time.
Yepers.
So anyways, as you're
lucky you.
so as soon as you said, I was like, I wonder that is you
Yeah.
seem kind of vintage-ish.
Well, it was interesting because I mentioned your name and Rocky was like, that name sounds familiar. And I was like, oh, maybe you know each other. I don't know. But he's old Calgary. He was born and raised here. So were you as well?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
why would I not be surprised?
Yeah, born in 77.
So was he.
So there's probably a...
Interesting.
And just like...
Well, there's crossover if you're at the castle for sure.
And
but
just like all the clubs back then.
all
Like, it was cool because it was...
debauchery, perhaps.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
Like no phones, specific nights.
Glorious.
Yeah, it was obviously spectacular.
I loved it. I miss the era where you could get away with something without it being filmed.
Yeah.
Or I got my first cell phone a couple months after my daughter was born, and life was great without them. It was actually great. That is so funny. I can't wait to tell him. I think you do know each other.
Just how it's all connected?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, and old Calgary, I mean, it's the biggest small town. Calgary's the biggest small town you've ever seen, which is one of the reasons I loved it here, you know.
Yep.
Most of the people I knew in Cranbrook all went out to Vancouver or Kelowna, and no thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Calgary.
Nelson, Cranbrook to Calgary, to where you are right now.
Yeah.
Do you give it much thought ever? Or are you just, is it just like...
It's water under the bridge.
Just going.
Yeah, just going. If it's meant to be, it'll happen and it'll be. And it's when you fight against the grain that you're cutting the wood wrong, man. Like, I think about the past and could have been, should have been, what ifs.
Yeah.
But they don't stay as thoughts. They're just, well, thank God that didn't happen kind of thing, right? Like, I found such belonging here that I don't question anything that ever happened, from even, trials that I experienced in my youth. Well, without those, would I have been capable of attaining any of my goals? Would I have had the drive to move away from life like that, life as it was, life that I saw around me? I don't know. I think if you ruminate on things too much, then it sours your joy. I don't want that. I want to cherish, I want to think about what's ahead. I want to do what needs to be done to get there. And the past is just a pillar, just a bridge that I walked over to get to where I am now. has no bearing on who I could potentially be anymore. So I just leave it there, if that makes sense.
Completely.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you. Is that already? That went quick.
Crazy, right?
Okay, good. Because I'm like shaking and I'm like chilly and I'm sweating. And
It's like, yeah, it's just it's so cool for me to actually, and Reese says, hey, she's awesome. So it's cool to then have this opportunity to sit here, hear the story.
I'm some people's kind of weirdo for sure. Yeah.
We're all weirdos.
We're all weirdos.
It's just like,
you gotta embrace that.
Yeah, it's like find the people that like are just as weird, and that's it.
And then make podcasts with them.
That's it.
Or draw pictures on them.
That's it. Yeah. It's so simple. I end the show with one question. When I say Calgary, where does your head go?
Oh. That's belonging. Yeah, belonging. I've never felt like I was meant to be somewhere more. Tears. Don't look at me. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
I know it's a strange idea to actually sit here and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
this is I'm usually, like I said, behind the camera. This was, I think I leveled up today, even just coming here, no matter what comes of it. Thank you for allowing me to become more today.
as you were talking about, like, the energy that you experience tattooing people as they talk, you're focused and it's a lot of listening, but it's a giant exchange in energy, right? And now it's just flipped.
Yeah.
And so
I'm the
tattooing.
chair right now.
And so it's like,
It would be easier if there was pain I could focus on. Now I'm just trying not to stare into the cameras like a weirdo. Like, don't stare at the painting. Look at Jeff. Look at Jeff. Don't cry. Don't shake. Don't look. Don't hit the microphone.
so funny.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.